Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting money stories. I am here with the amazing Lady Nadia Essex, who is a TV personality, TV presenter turned entrepreneur. And I love this because she's also really fucking visible as well. She's got shitloads of Instagram followers. So when she agreed to come on this podcast, I was like, yes, this is amazing. Nadia, hi. Hey, how are you? It's lovely to have you.
Good. Thank you so much. I'm really excited. I've done a lot of podcasts recently, but this is about money, which I'm a subject I'm very passionate about. So I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. I love digging deep into people's money stories because you never know what you're going to uncover. And everybody has such a different story when it comes to money. So I just think this is going to be a very exciting chat. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you.
Oh gosh. Where do you begin? You know, it's like a whole lot. I'm an old woman now. I feel it anyway.
What?
I feel it. I feel it. So in just in terms of money, or just in terms of story?
Just let's hear a little bit about you first, and then we'll dive into the money.
Okay. Born and bred in Surrey. Very, very quickly realised that I didn't want to go to university. I wanted to go and work. So left school after my A-levels and basically went straight to work. Wanted to be an independent woman and move out and live in the big wide world. Had multiple jobs over the years, multiple moves, and different career paths. Sort of spent a lot of time in the corporate world.
Yeah.
I learned how to sell really early on, which was one of those things where I realized that if you can learn to sell, you'll never be out of a job because someone will always employ you. You'll always,
Absolutely.
like, there'll always be a way. So I learned how to sell really quickly, and then kind of spent 20 years in sales, marketing, PR-y type roles. Got kind of like corporate burnout and was like, done. I was working for James Caan from Dragon's Den. He had a PR company at the time. And I was like, I'm done. And I had enough money in the bank to take like a year sabbatical. I
Nice.
took some time off and was like, I really don't know what I want to do. Floated some ideas, wanted to like create. I think one of the ideas was like, I wanted to open a nursery for children. I didn't have any children at this point, but I was like, they make so much money. I want to open a nursery. And then I was like, maybe I'll do a concierge business and maybe I'll try this. And it just kind of flitted around with different ideas. And at the same time was helping my old boss, like my manager, not James Caan, before his wife freaks out. I was helping my old manager help her find a man. She'd recently gone through a divorce after 23 years and was like, I need a wing woman. And I was like, this sounds like fun. So we used to go out and I used to help her spot red flags and give her encouragement and basically be her wing woman, and realize that actually I had a really good, I could do it. I was just good at it. And where I lived in the King's Road in Chelsea at the time. And it just kind of was like one woman said to another woman, oh, she's a good wing woman. And it turned into a business.
Wow.
And at the time, there was not really any dating shows. Love Island didn't exist at this point. There was no, dating wasn't like a thing in England. You had the Millionaire Matchmaker in America, which was huge, but it hadn't really come over. And I was like, if I enter an industry, I kind of want to see where the gap is for me, and how I can be kind of position myself as a leader of industry. And I saw that there was a gap in the market for a really good matchmaker. And I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I want to do. Just made a shit ton of noise. Started going to like celebrity events and putting myself out there and speaking to paps and making friends and really like working my ass off trying to just suck up to all the right people. And then got a call one day completely out of the blue from Channel 4 saying, we're doing this new dating show, do you want to come and screen test? And that turned into Celebs Go Dating. So I did Celebs Go Dating for a couple of years, and then that all went absolutely tits up completely. It was just, I don't really know.
What happened?
It was really, really tough. It was a really, really tough time. Basically, television back then was very different to how it is now. again,
It used to be good, didn't it? Like,
well, it was in terms of behind the scenes, like there was no Be Kind movement. Caroline Flack hadn't
no,
died. There
yeah,
was no, like, the words duty of care didn't exist. There
mm,
wasn't anybody. Might have been somebody in the corner who was like dusty and never got used, and that was their duty of care role. But no one cared about mental health. Nobody.
no,
And so I was literally plucked off of the street and put in a front-facing role in this show. And it was really, really difficult because social media was just kind of new-ish. Twitter was like the new thing. People were just discovering that, I don't know, they could vent their feelings online and it would
mm,
make them feel better, and there really isn't any consequences. And so it was like waking up to like 1,000 messages every morning being like, "You're fat, you're ugly, I hate
oh
you,
my
you're
god,
boring, you should just kill yourself. If I look like you, I'd kill myself," and all this sort of stuff. Just hate, because
wow,
it was a really like hateful place, and I just didn't know how to deal with it. And I was also dealing with the fact that I wasn't getting on with my co-host. They were paying us like less than minimum wage, so I couldn't pay my rent. I remember I had the bailiffs on the door knocking and being
oh,
like, "Aren't you that bird off the telly?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am, but I
oh
can't
no,
pay." And I was just, my mental health was shot. I'd suffered from depression and anxiety, and so I was already mentally vulnerable. And
yeah,
it was just like compounded, like one thing on top, and I didn't know how to cope. So my coping mechanism was to take some control back. So I went on Twitter, and I wasn't allowed to like argue back with people on Twitter.
damn
That
it,
was
what's the
like,
fun part?
well, yeah, well, yeah. At the time, I was like, I really want to, because people were being really mean, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
actually, you've got the wrong end of the stick. And I used to like the banter and the back and forward.
yeah,
So I just used to have an account that was like no named accounts, and that was my way of being like, when someone would call me a fat cow, I'd be like, well, look at you. And it was just my way of being able to like hit back and control the situation. Otherwise, I would have had a full-blown nervous breakdown.
yeah,
I would have done,
yeah,
because the pressure, I was like a pressure cooker, and I wasn't coping. I wasn't coping at home, I wasn't coping at work, and it was just, I was spiraling out of control. So then when my ex co-host left, he then sold a story to the press to say that I was this like internet troll,
oh
and I wasn't
no,
allowed to have right of reply. Basically, the Celebs Go Dating people were like, "You're not allowed to say anything, you have to keep quiet, don't reply, keep quiet, keep off socials, just keep quiet." And I'm like, but it's not fair, because that's not true.
yeah,
And it was just, yeah, and then it just turned into a bit of a shitstorm. So I left. So I quit Celebs Go Dating, because I was like, you guys, you're not protecting me.
no,
This isn't true. Also the circumstances around this situation. Like, it's not like I'm running around social media calling people horrible names, being racist or abusive or anything.
you
I'm
were
not doing
defending
that.
yourself, yeah,
I am, in my way, rightly or wrongly, defending myself. So,
mm,
and they were just like, "Oh yeah, to my face, we've got your back, we got your back," and then behind my
mm,
back was like, "Throw me under the bus." Again, it was a very different time. Things were very different. So left there, took both Celebs Go Dating and my ex co-host to court for harassment, gender discrimination, and victimization. Um,
brilliant,
and unfortunately, back in these times, this was way back when, you were only allowed 3 months to bring a claim to the court.
mm, yeah,
And I was like 31 days too late.
oh
So
no,
we had a preliminary hearing, and the judge heard all of the evidence, both their evidence calling me a liar and a psycho and just trying to further my career, and then my evidence being like, no, no, I was really treated really poorly. And the judge heard all the evidence and basically made a ruling that it's out of date, so the case has to be dismissed. However, if it was in date, my case had merit and we would have gone to court.
that's
So
so
even though
annoying,
I didn't kind of get justice, I feel really like morally like the judge believed me,
yeah,
and that was a real moral win for me, because there was like 8 lawyers
yes,
against
yeah.
me, just me.
I mean,
And I think
let's dive.
I
Yeah,
was giving
let's dive.
evidence for like 5 hours solid, and it was just like
wow.
throwing stones at me. And so it was like, I
Yeah.
was really proud of myself, because I was like, actually, the good thing is when you're telling the truth, you don't have to remember anything. You
Right.
just
Yeah.
talk. And so it was actually like quite enjoyable, because I was like, just asking me questions and I can answer them easily, because I'm not trying to remember what I've lied about, because I haven't lied about anything. I
Yeah.
think the judge could see that. So yeah, so morally I kind of feel like I won a little victory there. And
Yeah.
then that kind of died down, and then kind of lost everything, ended up, technically homeless and
Oh.
living in my friend's walk-in wardrobe, no job, no prospects, and found out I was pregnant about 10 weeks after I got pregnant, because I didn't have any of the pregnancy
I
symptoms.
found out late as well. Like, really, I was like, well, I mean, I think I was like 8 weeks. I mean, it really did help that, like, most of the first trimester had passed. But also, I was like, I think this is very much an ADHD thing. Like, I didn't realise that no matter how tiny the blue line was, it actually meant that you were pregnant. So every time I did a pregnancy test, I was like,
Oh, bless.
negative, throw it away. And I
Oh,
was so
gosh, bless
poorly.
you.
I was
Yeah, it was
really
really
sick.
poorly. Yeah,
Like,
I honestly thought I had cancer. So I called my doctor,
yes, that's what I thought I
and
had.
yeah, I called my doctor and said, I think I've got cancer. I'm really, really poorly. And I had my GP appointment that evening, and I went for lunch with a couple of girlfriends, and I was like begrudgingly sipping a Bucks Fizz. And
Mm.
one of my friends just was like, what is wrong with you? Because this is not normal. And I was like, I've gone off alcohol. It makes me feel sick. And she was like, have you done a pregnancy test? And I was like, no way, I haven't had sex in ages. I can't be pregnant. That's ridiculous. And she just looked at me and she was like, look at your tits. They're massive. And you're not drinking. And you feel really poorly. Go and get a pregnancy test. And I was like, well, I've got my GP appointment tonight. So I'm at 5 o'clock. I was like, right, I will. Because I'll prove to you that I'm not pregnant. But also, that'll be the first thing he'll ask me, actually. So I can make sure that. So I went home, bought the test, went home, peed on the stick. And by the time I pulled my pants back up, it was already over. It was like,
Oh no.
within seconds. It was like I was pregnant. And I just was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting turn of events. And it took me, in all reality, and full transparency, it took about 3 days of real soul searching
Yeah.
to decide what to do. I was in possibly the worst possible place for a woman to have a child. I had no home, I had no job, I had no prospects, I had like nothing going for me. And I had to really think very, very seriously about my future and
Yeah.
what, not just mine, but my now unborn child, and whether or not to terminate the pregnancy, what to do, like what should the best thing to do. And I kind of just realized that, I was 37, I think it was, when I got pregnant, or 38. I can't actually remember now. That's how
Yeah.
crazy. I think it was 37. Um,
So you were like geriatric.
I was geriatric, which I found
It's
when
so
I went for my
exciting,
first.
isn't it?
Oh, I literally went for my very first doctor's appointment or midwife appointment, and she said, "Oh, your class is a geriatric mum," and I was like, "I beg your finest pardon." She's like, it's called geriatric mum. I said, how dare you? That is the most offensive thing that I've ever, like, like mum, like proper, like emotional, over dramatic, like,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is so offensive, over the top. So yeah, it's geriatric mum. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? I do want to have children. It's not this baby's fault that my life is in the shitter, basically.
Yeah.
And it would be unfair for me to terminate this pregnancy in the hope that I, fall in love and meet somebody and we do it properly in the next 3 or 4 years, because I don't know how long I can have children for.
Yeah.
And so I was like, right, well, I can either use this to like pull my finger out and get my shit together or not. And I chose to keep the pregnancy, get my stuff together, got myself a little flat, got a little regular income, small but regular income, and had a baby. And then 10 days after I had a baby, went into lockdown. And that was really difficult because I'm a single parent. And so it was like they literally handed me my baby and was like, bye-bye. And then I didn't hear from anyone ever again. No midwife appointments, no checkups, no check-ins, no help, literally not one person was allowed in my house for like the first 3 months. And that was really difficult because you're just 24 hours a day with a new baby who's struggling to latch. So that's really difficult. And you've never done it before. You have to do it. I'm recovering from an emergency C-section.
Mm,
It was absolutely mental.
that is
And then,
horrendous.
yes, the first 2 years were like COVID-y. And then now he just last September started school and
Oh,
he's going to be 5 on his next birthday.
wow.
And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah. And so
there
now I'm a
must.
full blown mum, boy mum. And I wanted to start a business last year before he started school because I realised
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
didn't want to go back to work in terms of a 9 to 5 job.
Mm,
I really wanted to be the mum that does the drop-offs and the mum that can be there for the sports games or what. I
yeah,
don't know, I just
yeah,
envision myself being like not fully, but fairly hands-on mum. And I think because a lot of my early motherhood was stolen from me,
yeah.
because that's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
No coffee mornings, no meetups, nothing at all, literally not one tiny ounce of support. I felt like I kind of was let down and also let myself down in certain ways. And so this is an area where I'm like, no, I want to
Oh,
be a present parent as much as I can be. So
bless you.
tried to start a business for like 2 years, started 4 different businesses, and Kidfluence is the business now. It's my influencer marketing app is the one that
Yeah.
stuck. And now here we are, we're just coming up to in our first year and still building and growing, and touch wood, it's going really well.
I love it. I mean, there's so much that I want to talk to you about. So I'm going to park
Sorry.
Kidfluence for a minute because, like, I am so like, there's loads of stuff there. So I mean, I really, really, really resonate with the lockdown baby situation. I had Harriet, my second. She was born in the February before.
Okay.
She turned 1, and then the week after we went into lockdown. So I reckon our babies are about the same kind of birthday type
Yeah.
time. But yeah, it was horrendous, and I had postpartum psychosis with Ben, who was my first. So I was really, really, really scared of like anything mental health wise when it came to parenting. I got
Mm.
a doula, which is essentially, for anybody who doesn't know, it's like a really fucking expensive nanny who comes and basically lives at your house so that you can basically have some space away from your child. Because I knew that I was going to have the problems. So
Yeah.
it might make me sound like a really privileged posh twat, and I'm really not. But at the same time, I needed to do that for my mental health because it was
Totally.
a thing. And then my husband was a key worker. So he carried on working, and I had 2
Mm.
kids under the age of 5 in my house on my own, my beautiful, lovely new build house, which after about 3 weeks of lockdown had Play-Doh trodden into the carpet, kinetic sand everywhere, like somebody had vomited on a cushion, and I've got emetophobia as well, so I'm like, fuck that, I am not cleaning it up.
Yeah.
So it was horrendous. So I cannot believe that you had to go through that with a newborn, your first time as well on your own.
Yeah.
Firstly, you're a fucking rock star. I mean, that is insane. There's so much that I can unpick from the whole situation. I mean, that is. Oh, I mean, as somebody who has been trolled online a lot, and also as somebody who has been in the press recently for not the best reasons, I know how the press can twist things, and it can be really horrendous. So
Mm.
having to deal with all of that when you've got a newborn and you are, not in the best place and you're homeless, and so I'm going to ask you the question, like, what is your money story? I mean, how did your money show up throughout all of that? And also, like, we haven't quite touched on it yet. ADHD as well.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I
like, I
forgot
mean,
about that part. Well,
yeah.
the
So,
ADHD is new in terms of
okay,
I'm one of the statistics now of women that have found out they've got ADHD in their 40s. So
yeah,
I only
yeah,
realised I had ADHD last year. I'm
yeah.
43, and
Okay.
I just realised when I was 42 last year that I had it.
And how
And it
was that process? How did you find out?
well, it was when you have a baby or have a child, all of your coping mechanisms that you had through life can't work anymore
Hmm.
because you just don't have the time. Like, there is no recharging of the batteries, there is no
Yeah,
time, there is no space, there is no. you can't leave the situation, like you can't remove yourself, like your kid is on the floor flailing because you've opened a banana wrong, you're balls deep in that. You have to deal with that situation. You can't remove
Yeah.
yourself. So it was just really like years and years of trying to deal with that. And I had postnatal depression. So I went back on antidepressants for a few months, about 7 months. So 7 months after he was born, I finally was like, I need help. I can't continue like this. So when I'm back on my antidepressants, just for like 6 months, I think, and then came off of them. And then last year, again, I was just finding life. It was like the monotony of life as well. It was very, very difficult. I'd wake up, and it would be like, do the washing, do the cleaning, hoover, go and do the food shopping, put the washing out. And every day was just a cycle of like the same boring.
Boredom.
Yeah, just like no joy, really.
Yeah.
And I was just really struggling. I just was really, really struggling. And the reason I never thought I had ADHD is because whenever I saw people that had it, I was like, well, I'm not like her. Like, that's not me. So I can't have ADHD because her personality is so different to mine. I'm not like her. And so it just didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
And I was with my friend and we'd gone to an event in London and I'd driven. And we were on our way back and we were just chatting because her daughter was going through an ADHD assessment. And she was like, do you have any sensory issues? And I was like, no, not really. And then she was like, oh, okay, because my daughter, she's like sensitive to light. So she has to wear like sunglasses all the time. And I was like, oh, yeah, I do that. And she's like, yeah, she's sensitive to sound. She can't have like repetitive banging. So, and I'm like, yeah, same. She's like, oh, and she's sensitive to, I can't remember what else she said, but she listed off about 4 or 5 different things. And I was like, oh my God, I have sensory issues. And that was like a light bulb moment of, I just thought, you don't even, because you're not self-reflecting, you don't even think, like, it didn't occur to me that it's like, I can't have like my hair in my face. I can't have like cold feet. I have to have like slippers on in the house. I could never walk bare feet in my house for a long time. I have to have slippers on because the cold on my feet makes me feel.
But at the same time, socks.
But at the same time, socks. I cannot have socks in the bed. As soon as I get into my bed, I'm like, if I have socks on, I feel like, bleh.
I've got a cold at the moment and I had to put Vicks on my feet and put socks on. It is the worst thing.
Oh,
like, but then I took them off and I was like, but my feet are sticky because they've got Vicks on them. I can't deal with this.
yeah. And I was like, and so then it was all like, oh, okay. Because I don't know why you just think of sensory issues as autistic, I think, is what I thought in my head. When I thought of sensory issues, I thought of like autistic children that have to wear the earmuffs, and I just didn't. It did, because no one ever really explains it. I just didn't click, and then it kind of clicked, and then I was like, oh shit. And then it was like again a few months, and I went to another event, and it was like a show busy event, and I hadn't been to one of those since before I was pregnant, and I was seeing people that I hadn't seen since I was pregnant, and I found myself putting on this like mask and being like old Nadia. And I came home and I was, first of all, exhausted. I couldn't even speak. I was like I felt like my soul had been pulled from my body. I was just slumped over. And I was doing my podcast because I have a podcast called The Clueless Mum, and it's just me basically talking crap into the microphone. And I was talking away, being like, it felt really strange. I was masking, and then I didn't, if I'm not that person and I'm not that person, then who am I? I don't know who I am. And I basically had like a live panic attack on my podcast because I was just like, I don't know who I am. Oh my God. And just everything started like, my heart was pounding, my palms were sweaty. I was like literally like in the beginnings of it and had to stop and like really calm myself down. Got myself an ADHD coach because I was like, I'm a problem solver again, and part of my ADHD, I love solving problems. And so I was like, right, went for referral with the GP, got rejected twice, even though I got 10 out of 10 on every single question on this questionnaire. They were like, we don't have enough information. Could you get a letter from your school? I was like, darling, I'm 43. My school doesn't exist anymore. It got knocked down years ago and turned into flats. Like, what are you talking about? Can I get a letter from my school? And I was like, I scored 10 out of 10 on every single question. If that's not enough info, then you need to change the survey. because
Yeah,
that should
right.
be enough info for you to say, yes, I'm due a referral. So I got rejected twice. I've done the right to refer now, and I've just got my right to refer people come through.
Yeah.
My ADHD coach, the first thing she said to me, she called Natasha, she is amazing. And she said to me, the first thing, she was like, people, self-diagnosis with ADHD is valid because people who don't have ADHD don't think they've got it.
Absolutely.
So, and I was like, okay, let's go.
This
Brilliant.
is
Love it.
what I say to so many people, and I think really that, like, there are so many people out there striving for diagnosis because they want that external validation, and that's fine. I'm like, come and talk to me and I'll validate you. I don't have any
Absolutely.
qualifications to diagnose you, but it takes one to know one.
Exactly.
And
And it's really important. It's like, now I don't need, because she said that to me, I don't need, now I've got the right to refer. I'm a bit like, nah, I don't need a formal diagnosis.
I would do it because, I mean, Right to Choose is
Will.
going soon. It is actually being scrapped, which is really not good news for
That's really
anybody in the
scary.
UK right now, because it is a very hard,
That's
very
very
hard kind of pathway as it is. I would suggest to anybody who is listening, if you are looking for an ADHD diagnosis, go and get on that waiting list. Go and do it now. If your doctor doesn't know what Right to Choose is, or Right to Refer, some people call it different things, but like, if they don't know what it is, go and tell them. Do your research, tell them what it is, because my doctors didn't know what it was. I had to tell them, I had to push, and I got my diagnosis within 9 months.
Yeah.
And while I was getting my ADHD diagnosis, they were like, "Oh, you've got autism as well." Thank you. I was like, I don't see myself as autistic. I do now. I'm very, very, very autistic, especially now that I take my ADHD meds, because it unmasks my ADHD, and then it's like, oh, hello, the autistic Maddie. Yeah, she's definitely in there.
There she is.
But I think it's very much a thing that, if you want to get a diagnosis and you want to try medication, diagnosis is the only way. So Right to Choose,
Yes.
while it still exists, go and fucking do it.
Mm.
Care ADHD UK are one of the ones that don't have a massively long waiting list at the moment. ADHD UK website gives you a rundown of all of the different ADHD providers, whether they do children or not. Some of them do, some of them don't. Children, nightmare. Like, honestly, getting a child diagnosed at the moment is like pulling teeth. But I think it is worthwhile, and I think even if you know, because I genuinely say, when you know, and I think self-diagnosis is incredibly valid. So I have all of the neurodivergent conditions, like literally every single last one of them. Some of them I would much rather not have, but I don't have a diagnosis. So like Tourette's, I don't have a Tourette's diagnosis. I know I've got it because I have vocal stims. I have motor stims that I never tell people what they are, because if people know what they are, then they don't, like, they focus on those things, and I'm like, OCD. Fuck, my OCD is horrendous. I've got dermatillomania, skin picking condition, like literally all of them. But I didn't diagnose anything apart from ADHD. And when I got a dyslexia diagnosis when I was like 8, because I kept saying I couldn't see the board, and no type of glasses seemed to be working for me. On that note, though, you need that. Do you get blindness when you're driving? Like, as in dazzled?
Oh yeah, like, I mean,
my husband just bought me these glasses, right? I didn't know that they existed. They're nighttime sunglasses. I mean, they look a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. They do. They have like,
they block out the blue light. It looks like they blue light blocking sunglasses.
They're
all the rage. They're all the rage. But yeah, they're really good for you in general. Yeah, they're really good for you in general to block out blue light, because obviously blue light's really bad for you.
I might wear them when I'm watching TV.
You should. Yeah, any screen time, like literally any screen time, you'll notice a difference, because I had them when I moved, I lost them. But it was really, really helpful, because I spend a lot of time in front of a screen, because I'm very much reward centered. I am going through a bit of a phone detox at the moment, because I'm spending too much time on my phone, because it's the quickest and most guaranteed way to regulate my nervous system and give me a dopamine hit.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's not good, because it's not real. And so I'm trying to detox my screen time on my phone. So I've started putting like app limits for my social media, not work, but for my social media. And even though my social work can be social media, it's like once I hit my limit, it's like, okay, enough is enough
You've
now.
done it. Yeah, you've done
It's
it.
a good little, you can ignore the limit, which is great. And then some days I have to if I'm still working, but it's just really good to keep me mindful, to try and find other real
Yeah,
ways to get my dopamine that I need throughout the day.
yeah. No, it's
Because
and it isn't. I mean, how was it? Being in the celebrity world without knowing you had ADHD, because I can imagine that there's
oh,
like shitloads of rejection sensitivity in there.
oh
Somebody else gets picked for something, or like people are in with different people, and it's like, I mean, the business world's a bit like that as well. I think.
yeah, and having the rejection sensitivity RSD, whatever it's called, that I have is, yeah, like that was one of the real, again, that I work with my coach with, to really be like, oh, it's not everybody feels like this. It was really strange to me, because rejection, even in its smallest form,
Yeah,
would sometimes I'd be out for days, just
yeah.
like, not just a punch in the gut, like a full blown like stab. It was physically debilitating sometimes if I didn't get a deal. I remember on Celebs Good Dating, when I was going through the screen test process, they said I had to do like 2 screen tests. I ended up doing like 7. And there was one day, my girlfriends had stayed at my house at the time, and they left to go somewhere, and I hadn't heard back from them. And because I hadn't heard back from them, I thought I didn't get it. And I spent the day in bed. I could not get out of bed. And nowadays I have a much better coping mechanism. I read a lot of books. I consume a lot of really healthy content,
Yeah.
podcasts and talks and people. And I really curate my social media feed to be full of really good people that I love. So I'm not really encountering toxicness online really at all anymore. And I'm consuming a lot of stuff, and I'm growing and evolving and changing and learning new, better coping mechanisms.
I love
But
that.
I just remember being bedbound from being what I thought was a rejection, which it wasn't even a rejection. I just thought it was. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was
I mean,
crazy.
that's the thing with rejection sensitivity dysphoria. I mean, sometimes it can actually be a real rejection, but it's the perceived rejection, and that is horrendous for like.
Mm.
I mean, for anybody, rejection is horrible, but for ADHD, is horrendous.
Yeah, it was like life, the end of the world. And
Mm,
it's hard, because I think when you're, I was single, and it was, I look back and I'm such a cliche. When you just look back and you're like, God, you're such a cliche. If I work with my coach as well a lot, because I had a lot of resentment. I think when you find out you have ADHD when you're older, and I don't know if it applies to everyone, but it certainly applied for me. I had a lot of resentment, because I was like, life has been very difficult. That is
yeah,
the word I would use.
yeah.
And if anybody had picked up on this earlier and given me even the tiniest bit of support, maybe life wouldn't have been so hard. And so I dealt a lot with a lot of those feelings. I was really
Mm,
angry. I was really upset, because I was like, I don't know, upset for my like former self. There was a lot of emotion,
yeah.
because it was really like a missed opportunity. It's like, God, I got let down because I look back, I'm like, in my childhood it was so obvious. Now it's so obvious. There were so many points where I'm like, so obvious I had ADHD, had misdiagnosed depression, when it wasn't that, like, so many things. And it was a lot of feelings. There was a lot
Yeah.
last year of like bubbling up, of like feeling angry, then feeling resentful, then feeling sad about all the missed opportunities, and how difficult it was, and all the jobs I jumped to, and all the businesses that I wanted to plan, and all the fun things, and then I never did it, and I couldn't follow through. And I realized it wasn't me being lazy. It was I couldn't, and it was a lot. It was like it changed my life.
Yeah.
The realization. But I do think I'm glad, because I came out the other side of it, and now I can honestly tell you that here today, I'm probably happier than I've ever been in my entire life.
I love that. I mean, I'm exactly the same. So I was diagnosed for the first time when I was 37, for the second time when I was 40, and I'm now 41. I wrote a book about it. So my book Mad About Money is out now. You can pre-order it. Shameless plug. But yeah, it's basically yes, it's about money. It's about my money story because I'm constantly interviewing other people about theirs. This is mine, and it's really in depth. But it's mainly about my years being an undiagnosed neurodivergent and how I coped and struggled and coped and struggled, and it was just like an elastic band. It was like ping, 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 ping until it snapped. And all of the emotions, like whatever emotion you feel when you are diagnosed with ADHD, is 100% valid. And I think I had all of them. Now I am the happiest I've ever been. And I think, when you know your brain, when you understand your brain, it helps you to make sense. I mean, let's talk a bit about your money story now, because
Yeah, sorry.
ADHD and money, there is a huge correlation with ADHD, with money, with jobs, with business. All things, you said you had quite a bit of a job hoppy kind of start. That will be your ADHD. The fact that you ended up homeless, the fact that you've had impulsive times where you've, that, I mean, I think,
Shopaholic.
yeah. So,
Complete
I mean,
shopaholic when I had
yeah,
money. And so
let's talk about that.
in my childhood, we when I was born, we didn't have much money, but then from sort of 0 to 5, we got money, and then we had money, and then in the recession of the late 90s, we lost everything. Like 6
Mm,
businesses, home, parents split up, bankrupt, ripped out of private school, like the whole everything that could have changed, went from holidays in Florida and pony lessons to my mum trying to scrape together £1.50 for my lunch, and she didn't have it.
mm,
It was really like, wow. So I feel like that affected me more than I know, and I'm still working through those money blocks now, and especially this year. This has been the year of like being able to focus on my money blocks.
I'm totally sending you my book, by the way.
Oh, thanks. No, do, because this year, it's like the two things there's lots of areas in my life that I need to focus on, but nutrition and fueling my body properly and
Mm,
well so that I mentally feel good, because it helps with my
yes. Yeah.
symptoms, coping mechanisms. When I
Yeah.
eat good, I feel good. And also my money blocks and getting rid
Mm,
my relationship with money has been very, very tumultuous.
mm,
And when you're a single person, it kind of can be, because there's no one relying on you. And
yeah.
so, again, learned to sell. Selling makes loads of money. I remember when I was like, I want to say like 19, I was earning something like £1,000 a week. And
Nice.
that was, like a check paid to me. So like cash in
Mm,
hand back 20 odd years ago. I couldn't spend it fast enough, and I had, over £10,000 worth of red bottom shoes and designer handbags and just I never saved, I never invested in property. The money I came in, I would spend. And then I'd be broke, and then I couldn't pay my rent, so I'd pay my rent late, and then the next bit of money would come in and I'd be fine for a bit, and then it's very much like that.
yeah.
And this year I've decided that it's like I don't want to be like that anymore,
Mm,
because it's not good. I'm getting myself in that catch-22. So
yeah.
I'm very much readdressing my relationship with money this year. I kind of discovered, and it's going to sound really cliche and cheesy, but I kind of discovered Tony Robbins in January.
Okay.
And I watched his Netflix documentary that's called I'm Not Your Guru.
Mm,
I decided that January was going to be like my reset. I don't believe that January is the new year. I think that is a completely made up thing that is designed to keep humans demotivated, demoralized, because why the fuck would you start a New Year's resolution in midwinter?
oh my God, yes. I think so.
It's
I think we should
bonkers.
actually change this. I want a petition
It's
for like
bonkers.
spring, because spring is all about fresh new starts. Why is
Exactly.
spring not the new year, for fuck's
Be-
sake?
Because they want to keep, as a society, the easiest way to keep people compliant is to demoralize them and to and that what a perfect thing to do.
Before year end, before all the tax and like the budget get approved.
And they've proven that Jesus was born in the summer, I think. So it's like, it wasn't, they're like, oh, the birth of Jesus was Christmas. They've proven that was a myth. So it's manufactured to be that way. It's not just like, oh, there is a reason why in midwinter they're like, set new goals, new year, new me, go. And then everyone fails because we're still in the mid of winter. So I was like, this year, I'm not buying into the bullshit. I celebrated New Year. I was in bed by 9:30. I like it that way. I don't really, it's just, I like being like at home and cozy, but I was like, I am not going to buy into it. I'm going to take January to still be in winter. So I made stews and soups and really was like, I'm taking this slow. Consumed so much good stuff. And one of the documentaries was Tony Robbins. And it just was like a light bulb moment of like, holy shit, this is amazing. Because he's not necessarily about money. It's more about your state, your state of mind, your state. And then that was it. I just did that. And then I went on one of his virtual courses, did that and was like blown away. And then was consuming everything that he's got, all like business stuff. I just did the 3-hour Diary of a CEO with Alex Hormozy, I think his name is. And a 3-hour podcast. And I did an hour a day just talking about business, which was absolutely fantastic. This guy is like top dude. And so I'm just consuming a lot of content. And now spring is coming. I feel like I have the energy and the tools to really go for it. And
I'm going to give you a tip here, and same for anybody else who is listening, because I've been in business for 10 years and this really, really, really changed my life. Those gurus that you speak of, they are not designed, they're not designed, but they are people. They will teach you business in a neurotypical way. Your brain is a neurodivergent brain and your brain will learn in a different way. And I often talk about this, that by following the neurotypical gurus and I don't want to sound negative about this because it's lovely that you are doing the self-improvement stuff. They set you up for failure almost, because you're like, wow, they're so successful. They're going to teach me all these cool things. But they teach you in a neurotypical way. So when you learn and then it doesn't work for you, you're like, fuck, I'm a failure. And you're not. You just need to learn about it in a slightly different way.
I also think you need to go in it with a different mindset. I think that
absolutely,
like what you just said is like, when you go into it thinking, I can't remember, you just said a sentence and I was like, that's not how you should go into it. It was something like,
no.
You go into it thinking that you're going to learn, they're going to teach, they're really successful and they're going to teach
you want to be, exactly.
That isn't why you should go into any type of training or anything like that. You're not trying to replicate. I'm not going to replicate Tony Robbins' success. What I can do is take the formula that he gives and take the bits that I like and turn that into my version of success.
Absolutely. And that was exactly what I was going to say next. Like if you're learning from the neurotypical gurus, take the bits that resonate. If something doesn't resonate, it's probably because it's not right for your brain type.
Totally. But he's not, the thing with Tony and I do a lot of business, but him specifically, the reason I think he is attractive to my neurospicy brain is because he is very no bullshit.
Yes.
We are going to get you into a good state, because if we don't get your mind right first, nothing else will come. And he's almost like, come on now, enough of the excuses, let's go, we're going to change your state. And he uses music and he uses breathing techniques and he uses actual things. It's not just like, do this and do that. He actually gets you into a state that's actually physically proven by science that like lowers your cortisol levels,
which is great.
Highes your testosterone levels, so you feel fucking fantastic because you've changed the actual physiologically state of your body. And so he resonates with me because it's not like, I'm going to teach you about how to make $1 million. It's like, we're going to start with your brain. We're going to start with your body. And we're going to get you into a state. And as long as you can hold that state, everything else will fall into place. But your only job is to hold that state. And again, for me, as someone who's like, that is so simple. It's not like
it is
things. It's just my only job is to hold myself in a state of well-being. And when I notice myself coming down, I'm kind to myself. Some days I let myself come down if I'm like feeling a bit hormonal or feeling a bit sorry for myself, knowing that I can bring myself up. And other days I don't let it bite. I'm like, oh, an intrusive thought pops in and I don't let it bite, don't resonate. Go and make a cup of tea.
Done.
Yeah. Done. Because you've
Exactly.
got the strength to do that, because I
Yeah.
feel good, because I'm making the small habit changes, like not drinking coffee, and now I'm drinking matcha, which I really don't like.
I'll
Drinking.
tell you how to make matcha nice, right?
Yeah, please.
So I accidentally, like, I had about 4 different ideas of what I wanted when I went into Starbucks one day, and I just went, "Bleh," and like this made up drink came out, and I was like, that wasn't what I meant to say, and it was the best drink ever. So I have iced matcha with almond milk and vanilla syrup.
Okay, I'm gonna
It's
try.
amazing.
I've
It's
been
literally
putting
amazing.
maple syrup in it, like,
Oh,
because I don't have any like caramelly like stuff, because without a little bit of sweet stuff in it, it's not very good.
it's vile. It tastes horrible. It's so it's quite bitter, isn't it?
It's
Like,
very bitter.
yeah.
But the buzz, fantastic. So, and that's
Mm,
is the little changes. So now I have a buzz from matcha that gives me a buzz but doesn't give me anxiety. And so
yes.
I know that the coffee that I'm drinking gives me anxiety. And even though my ADHD brain is like, reward, reward, I used to take a sip of my coffee in the morning and I used to get boom, reward. And it was
Yeah.
amazing. Like, yes, I can have the day. But then 20 minutes, an hour later, I'd
Crash.
be like, oh, I can't sit still. I can't do anything. Like, and I'd have the terrible, terrible, and then obviously, yeah, then the crash comes. Whereas
I
with
get like
matcha,
shaky.
I get a
Yeah.
nice, and then it levels, and then it just fades away. So even though it doesn't taste very good, I'm forcing myself to do it. And that's the point. I'm forcing myself to make better choices for
Yeah.
myself. And actually, that's how that when I say I feel better than ever, it's because of the things that I'm doing to keep me in the right state. And
Fucking
when
love
I'm
it.
not doing things that keep me in the right state, like yesterday, I had a
Yeah.
cappuccino and I shouldn't have done. I didn't beat myself up because I was like, I knew it. I shouldn't have done it. I need to learn. Don't have a
I'm
cappuccino.
lucky actually. I'm caffeine intolerant, so if like I love coffee, love the taste of it. Don't like how jittery it makes me afterwards. And I also don't like the fact that like my stomach then wants to fall out. So I'm like,
Yes.
it's a really, really, really good reminder for me. Every time I drink coffee, I'm like, Maddie, why the fuck do you do that? Because you're now going to spend the rest of the day on the toilet. So
Yeah, yeah.
TMI.
And that's
Sorry.
where I'm at now. I'm at the
Yeah.
same thing of like, but it's almost like you're teaching your brain, aren't you? You have to learn so many times of it being really shit before one day you're just like, okay, I
Yeah.
know that I'm going to feel shit, because my little
Exactly.
brain
Yeah.
tells me this is going to be the time when you're not going to feel like shit. You're going to feel good. This is going to be the time you're going to drink that coffee and you're not going to get jittery, but you're going to get the buzz. Remember the buzz. Remember how good the buzz feels. And I have these conversations in my brain to myself.
It's exactly what I did with booze, and I am now nearly 1 year, 4 months sober.
Wow.
Which like I write a lot about in the book because like again, there's a massive
Huge.
dopamine,
Yeah, it's
like
huge. It's
big
massive.
dopamine and boost. Like anyway, we don't have much time left, and we need to talk about the business.
Okay.
So tell me all about your new venture. I really want to know as much as details as possible. I mean, creating an app is fucking hard. I've done it. Like I
It's
know
really
it.
hard and really expensive, and I didn't
Yes.
expect it to be as hard and expensive as people think it. Like, I thought it
Have
was
you,
like a website. It's not
have you
at
got
all.
investors or?
No, just me.
Good
Literally
work.
bootstrapping the whole thing, the
Never get
logging.
investors because that's horrible. It's the worst thing I ever did. Like,
Yeah, and people keep telling me that, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, good. I'm now doubling down on my work rather than looking for investment, because last year I
yes.
spent a lot of time looking for investment, and now I'm like,
Mm,
no, don't do it. So, yeah, basically, it's a really simple idea. It's a platform, like a social media platform, that businesses post offers of
yeah,
freebies, and then influencers go on and scroll the offers and look at the offer and be like, oh, a new lipstick in return for a Instagram story post.
yeah.
And they go, oh, I need a new lipstick, request the offer. And
Perfect.
then the business can accept or reject the offer. And then if they accept it, obviously, then they get the lipstick, post the lipstick. And it's just a really simple way to connect brands and influencers together.
Yes.
And all the brands are vetted by me, so everybody's 100% genuine.
Love it.
And our niche is kind of like families. So even though it's called Kidfluence, it's not for kids. It's the fact that kids influence all parts of your life, especially when you have them. So you've got to be over 18 to join, have 1,000 followers or more on Instagram or TikTok. And either you could be at any stage of parenting, even if you haven't got kids, but you want to have kids or planning to have kids in the future, not a problem. But it's just not going to be for like the 18 to 24-year-old boohoo fashion girlies. Like there's not that stuff. It's like tickets to a park, or we've got like jewelry companies on there and like car detailers who need like, you know, the mum car cleans. So it's very much family orientated stuff for like family people, just to help make life a bit easier.
So I mean, this is fucking amazing from two sides for me. So like, as an influencer, like I always go, influencer gross. But everybody needs, like, and I say this on every single thing that I ever train anybody on, like everybody needs to be influential in their own niche. So if you are somebody who is a business owner, you might not necessarily feel like you're an influencer. But actually, if you have a business, you are, essentially, you should be. But also, if you are somebody who has a business that needs to reach more people, influencer marketing is a visibility fucking goldmine. Like, I am a massive fan of basically the influencer brand relationships. I love it.
And just to give you some quick stats as well of how important it is, at the moment, it's worth, as an industry, 28 billion. Goldman and Sachs have said that in the next 4 years, it's going to grow to over 400 billion. So the industry is going to grow 100 billion a year. And the fact is, if you are not using influencers, in 5 years' time, your business won't exist. And I can promise you that. I will put a hill I will die on. Because if you're not using people, people are buy from people. And all the big brands are now spending 60% of their marketing budget on influencers. So if the big brands know that this is where they should put more than half their money, trust me, you've got to get on board with influencers, but you've got to do it right. There's so many scammy people and places. You can get 30k for one post from a big celebrity and get 0 sales. I've seen it happen. I know it happens. And
we had this conversation, didn't we? Like, so I mean, I've got 70,000 TikTok followers, but my Instagram has 70% engagement rate. Like, my Instagram is fucking brilliant when it comes to, and I've only got 9,500 followers. So it's like, who do you choose? What do you do? And I always, so whenever I do an influencer deal for anybody, I always say, yes, I've got, like, they're always like, oh yeah, we want to post on a TikTok. And I'm like, you also want to do my Instagram as well.
Definitely.
They're like, oh, but there's not that many. And I'm like,
numbers.
Seriously? Let's see which does better. And you will thank me for actually including that in the deal, because it's
but there's not many people like you out there, if I'm honest. A lot of people just take what they can get. A lot of managers ruin relationships, and a lot of agencies will charge you $5,000 a month to run a shitload of Facebook ads, and just they don't know what they're doing. If you're thinking about going to an agency, if you don't have budget, like Sainsbury's money budget, don't do it. Because all they do is they throw money. You pay 15 grand for the first 3 months, and they just throw that 15 grand into ads, into marketing at the wall, and see what sticks, and then double down on that. You are going to be paying $5,000 a month plus ad fees on top, plus influencer fees on top, plus a 20% commission. So if you are thinking of going with an agency and you don't have like agency money, that's where we come in, because I charge £1,000 a month, and you can work with unlimited amount of creators for the month. Plus I do a bespoke once a month one-on-one chat with the brand to talk about marketing campaigns and plans and seasonal stuff. So I offer a really comprehensive marketing strategy for basically what £5,000 a month will get you at an ad agency.
And my book's going to be on there as well, and I'm really excited about that. And also, I'm going to be an influencer, so if anyone wants to work with me, that's also cool. I'm coming at it from two sides of the fence, and I just think it's an absolutely brilliant idea. Anyone listening, go and have a look at it. Like, if you're a business owner, think about how you can work with some influencers. And if you want to if you're not quite there money-wise yet, there are some free influence places you can work with to maybe get your brand out there a bit more, start making some money so that you can invest it.
Absolutely.
It's the way to go. Nadia, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Where's the best place that people can go and find you?
At Lady Nadia Essex across all my socials, or kidfluencegroup.com is the website.
Love it. I think it's been an absolutely amazing conversation. Guys, please like and share, save this podcast, leave us a review, because that's what helps us to get this podcast out to more people. If you've got any suggestions of guests, give us a shout. And I'd love to have some more amazing people come and join us. If you've not already pre-ordered it, go and pre-order Mad About Money. In fact, when this podcast episode comes out, it might even be out, in fact. So go and buy Mad About Money, because for every book you buy, a fairy claps somewhere. I know that's not the same, but it's somewhere. Something happens. And also, you are pushing me one step further towards my dream of being a Sunday Times bestseller. Because as a dyslexic person, I never thought that dream would be possible. So we're going to try and make that happen. As always, please tell your friends about this podcast. If you fancy coming on as a guest, give me a shout. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and I will see you next time. Thanks for listening.